Akwaaba, which means welcome in Fanti, the native language used in Cape Coast, Ghana. This is our community assessment performed on Cape Coast, Ghana by Skylar Woods, Kelly Leisendahl, Brittany Winfield, and Katie Records. Cape Coast, Ghana is located in West Africa and is most famous for being a university town, a fishing community, housing the Cape Coast Castle, as well as many shops and young entrepreneurs. To start off with a little background about Ghana, the overall population is 25.7 million. Around 60% live in an urbanized city. The average life expectancy is 65 years old. There is an 11% unemployment rate, and almost 30% of the population lives below the poverty line. After spending 2 weeks in Cape Coast, we formulated 2 nursing diagnoses based off the data collected and our observations. They are risk for infection related to low standards of waste removal and risk for contamination related to decreased access to purified water. These next photos exemplify why the risk of infection is so high related to the low standards of waste removal. The population of the rural areas of Cape Coast are at risk for infection because they have even more limitations to waste removal. The photos you are seeing are places that individuals use the restroom, live, play, and sleep all within close proximity of each other. Oftentimes, individuals are forced to throw away trash wherever a pile has started because there is no other methods of removal. This woman is preparing food on the street side is a prime example of infection risk because the food is typically left out all day and not placed in a warmer. If you look closely, you can see a stray dog next to her, bringing in new sources of infection. This brings us to the top 10 causes of death in Ghana. As you can see, a lot of these causes stem from infection issues. These are health indicators showing us that infection is an issue in Cape Coast. Here is some general information about Cape Coast, Ghana. Tobacco use in Ghanaians is very low. We noticed through observation and asking locals that tobacco use, such as smoking cigarettes, is socially frowned upon in their culture. Studies show that obesity in Cape Coast, Ghana is not an issue like it is back in the United States. In fact, we were taught by locals that one of the top-selling drugs sought out was one to help gain weight. Infant mortality is a large issue in Cape Coast, Ghana, and can be attributed to many reasons such as low resources to healthcare, low education, home births, and more. There is also an issue with Ghanaians being underinsured. Even though most of them can afford to purchase health insurance, they choose not to. This photo and the next are both good examples to show what the sewage system is like in Cape Coast. The sewage system is open, so the smells fill the street and stray animals and even people can get into them. So this makes individuals' feces and urine easily accessible to the animals and people by not being closed. While walking on the beach in Cape Coast, Ghana, you frequently find your feet wrapped in trash like plastic bags when the tide comes in. Many people consider the ocean to be a proper place to dispose of trash, and it is causing pollution to a point that it is uncommon to see a body of water without visible waste. A significant infection risk is related to open defecation in bodies of water that is later ingested. Here you see the water source that a rural village just outside of Cape Coast was using to cook, drink, bathe, and brush their teeth with. The village had no way to clean this water, and the use of it was putting their lives in jeopardy. This is a photo of the borehole that was donated to the town. This source is drilled deep into the earth to retrieve water that has not been contaminated with bacteria and viruses that cause illness. This borehole has improved the quality of life residing in the village outside of Cape Coast.
This is a picture of a water sachet. It is the main source of treated or purified water in the Cape Coast region. While we were in Ghana, we had to use these for brushing our teeth, cooking food, drinking water, and other things. However, the locals use the sachets mainly for drinking purposes. Water sachets are available at local grocery stores or markets. You can also see various people sell them on the side of the road. It is common to see people walking up to cars while in traffic and sell the drivers their water sachet. Despite the use of water sachets, 5 million Ghanaians still use unsafe water resources because they cannot afford the prices of water. For example, a sachet sold by vendors on the roadside costs 1 ZD, while a pack of 30 sachets costs 4 ZDs.
Ghana does not have a shortage of water sources, but potable water sources are diminishing at such a fast rate that the country faces a looming water crisis by the year 2030 if conditions continue to persist. An attributing factor to the water crisis is that people use the oceans as a disposal route for sewage. Despite the use of water sachets, each year 4,000 Ghanaian children die from diarrhea related to exposure to unclean water. Currently, about 23% of Ghanaian children suffer from stunting, a chronic malnutrition linked to poor water and sanitation.
While in Cape Coast, we were able to visit different villages to discuss several health topics with people. These are a few pictures of us teaching in the villages. Most days, we travel far to promote health education. For example, we talked to many villages about the importance of breastfeeding. To our surprise, most mothers knew a lot about this topic. Not only were we there to educate, but we learned so much from them. Public health nursing is important because it allows nurses to share their knowledge and expertise with others. Not only are we educators, but we get a chance to learn things from the ones we are teaching. The people of Cape Coast were eager to learn about the topics. There were times when we were in rooms that weren't big enough to fit our audience, but the people made room so everyone could hear. Public health nursing is about teaching, providing care, or healing those that are in the community. During our trip to Ghana, we accomplished this mission.
We identified many strengths, one of them being that Cape Coast does not have a lot of funding to spend on healthcare resources. However, the current healthcare workers and community are very resourceful and use what they have to create the best health outcomes. Another strength is Cape Coast has a great community health nursing program. Community nurses select an emphasis in public health, and they are intensely trained in the diseases they will see while delivering care. Community nurses don't typically practice in a health clinic. They travel to local villages to provide easy access to health care. By doing this, the community nurses perform checkups, administer free vaccinations, and educate the community based on their needs.
Based on our community assessment, while in Cape Coast, Ghana, we identified the need for public health. Public health nursing is important because it integrates community involvement. We thought of unique and creative ways for the people in the community to remember what we taught them. In our opinion, we left a mark because it doesn't matter how much information we feel we may have left out. Those children took our knowledge to heart. To us, that exemplifies public health nursing. Before arriving in Cape Coast, we all heard different things about what to expect while being overseas. We all traveled to Ghana with different mindsets, but we all left the same appreciation and wishing to return soon.
Bye. 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 Bye.